Hello, YouTube land. This is Brent Son coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. And if anyone out there has a story they'd like to share on the show, you can contact me at brentonson@gmail.com. I'll leave that information in the description. If anyone wants to contribute to help with the show, you can go to PayPal me. I'll leave that link in the description. And also, if you want to be a Patreon and contribute $2 or $3 a month, $5 a month, or whatever you want to do, you can go to a link in the description for Patreon and do whatever that you can do that won't harm you or whatever. A couple bucks a month. That's not any big major thing, but it could be very, very helpful to me if I had several people that did that kind of thing. Now we've got something really, really cool today. Sometimes you get good stories, and then sometimes you get really good stories. And this is a good story, and this came from someone who has been on the show before, that is from my area in Lexington, Kentucky here, and she talked to this guy, and this is a Dogman type story. But anyway, I'm just going to let him introduce himself, and his name is Travis, and so we're going to go to him. I'll let him introduce himself, and then we'll get into his story, and I think you're going to find this very, very fascinating and very freaking scary, man. I mean, I just couldn't get over it once Miss Mosley started telling me about this. This story is like, oh my gosh, man, I got to talk to this guy. But anyway, Mr. Travis, are you out there?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. If you would, kind of give an introduction to yourself and tell like where you're from and things like that, and then we'll get into your story, if you would.
Yeah, my name's Travis. I'm originally from Anchorage, Alaska. I've been all over the United States. I live in Wyoming now in the Black Hills, in a really remote area, about 10 miles east of Devil's Tower. Don't have a whole lot of neighbors here, really, in the middle of the hills, forest all around me and stuff. But I've been in the forest all my life. I mean, I've been hiking everywhere from Alaska all the way to Hawaii, and I've seen every kind of animal in my whole entire life. I've encountered most of them without a pistol or anything, and never really had a problem, never been afraid of the woods or anything. I never believed in any of this kind of stuff until I started seeing some things for myself, and it kind of turned my world upside down. But
yeah, that sounds like it, man. It sounds like you were just cruising along, doing your own thing, living a normal life, and then you started having some things that were challenging your thoughts.
Well, yeah, this last year I was born again. I'm born again Christian, just about a year ago, just a year and a few months ago. And ever since, things have been, I've seen things that you hear tales about, but I gave no belief to whatsoever at all. But it culminated in the last 24 hours, and the craziest thing ever happened to me just in the last 24 hours. I had something locked in my basement, and I thought it was just a regular old quadruped animal, a raccoon, squirrel, or something like that. But as the night went on, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. I got 2 German Shepherds.
Oh, okay. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. Where is this that you live?
I live in the Black Hills on the Wyoming side.
Okay, so you live in the Black Hills in Wyoming, and so we're going to set the stage for this. And okay, in the Black Hills in Wyoming, and you're sitting there in your house, and I want you to tell it like from like you're sitting in your house and what you started experiencing, like sounds and stuff like that, and describe the progression. From it, and I want to give you the stage, man. I'm not going to interrupt you.
Well,
all right.
It didn't happen until last night when I was going to bed. My dogs sleep in the bed with me. It's just me and the dogs here, and it's an old house. It's a 120-year-old house. it used to be a line cabin for the rangers, the forest rangers. Anyway, and it's got a basement that I don't ever go into, ever. It leaks water through the walls and gets all mildewy down there, so I don't ever go down there. I haven't been down there in over a year. So anyway, head to bed last night, and I'm laying there in bed and got everything shut off and just getting ready to turn the light off, and I hear a scratching on the wall. And it brought me out of bed, and the dogs started barking and all their hair standing up, and I went over and I was banging on the wall because I thought maybe it's just a quadruped, you know, a squirrel, raccoon, you know, it could be a million different animals. Where I live, there's so many animals in the forest here, anything from mountain lion, bobcat, elk, deer, turkey, raccoons, every kind of varmint you can possibly think of. I mean, I have it all in my yard. I live on 8.5 acres here, and literally in the middle of the forest, and I don't have any neighbors to speak of. My closest neighbor is a mile away, so very alone, very rural. And so I get up and I'm banging on the wall, figured, you know, that'll scare the tar out of it, and it'll go down and be peaceful, and I'll deal with it tomorrow, you know. So I bang on the wall, and sure enough, it stops, and I head back over to bed, get the dogs back in the bed, and try and get everything calmed down. And then all of a sudden I start hearing banging on the floor, on my floor, which is the ceiling for the basement. And that alarmed me, because the floor's got to be 10 feet up off the basement floor down there, and there's nothing to get on down there. There's nothing down there. It's just an empty basement, and there's an old cellar down there. And I figured, well, whatever it is, it found a way to get up near the ceiling somehow, you know. There's lots of different animals that can climb walls and stuff, so I figured somehow it's got up towards the ceiling down there, and it's bumping around trying to get out. I don't know what it's doing down there. Animals do crazy things when they're trying to escape, so I go over and to where it was bumping on the floor in the living room, and I'm stomping on the floor trying to get it to shut up again, and it just escalated. I mean, it kept escalating all night long. I mean, it went from bumping to more scratching. I've got this old window that used to look out over the stairs that go into the basement, and they covered it up long before I ever got here. And it's covered up with plyboard and another type of board, so you can't even see down there. And that's where it's scratching at. And that's like right into my living room area right there. So that'd be right above the stairs where it goes into the basement. And the scratching was really intense. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. And it sounded like it was going to scratch through the wall. It got to that point where I thought it was going to scratch through the wall. It got so bad that I went and got another board and nailed it up over this window area, because I was afraid it was going to plop out onto the living room floor, and I was going to have chaos on my hands with my dog. So I went over and boarded up, threw another board up, and I went over and just turned on the computer, put on a YouTube video that went for some reading of a book all night so I could try and drown out the noise. Well, it just kept going all night long, bumping, scratching, just chaos, just total chaos. And we got to morning time, I managed to get a little bit of sleep, and it's still making noise down there. And I kind of felt bad, because I'm an animal guy, you know. I like animals. I love animals. I got no problem with them. I do my fair share of hunting when you need hunting, but I don't have any problem with animals, and I sure don't like the idea of an animal dying in my basement, you know. And I felt bad for it, because it's no food, no water down there. So I concocted a plan. I've got a laundry room that's in the back of the house, and the laundry room has a door that goes outside, and then in that laundry room's the door to the basement. So I concocted a plan where I just opened the back door up to the outside, and then I'd hurry up and open the door to the basement, and then I've got another glass door that goes into the house from the laundry room. So I opened up both the doors so whatever's down there could get out. And hurried back into the house and closed the door up, and I had a little chair sitting there. I was just going to sit and watch and wait for whatever it was to come out. Well, I wasn't fully prepared to sit there for very long, and I ended up having to fetch a few things, and had to get up several times. I gave it a full 2 hours, and never seen anything. And after 2 hours, when I got up a few times, I had to use the bathroom once, grab a soda once, and do some other things. And after about 2 hours, I got sick of waiting, so I went and closed the doors up. I figured, whatever's down there had to have gotten out when I got up to fetch something. And I didn't hear anything, not hide nor hair, nothing after that anyway, so I figured whatever it was it's long gone by now. I'd seen its chance to get out, and it was gone. And I want to say it was 3 or 4 hours later. I'm outside with the dogs out in the front of the house, and my house sits on top of a hill, and I've got 8.5 acres, and it kind of looks down a pretty steep hill, and I was looking out towards my fence line, looking south, and there's a creek that's probably about 400 yards out past my fence line. Not on my property. It's 400 yards south of my property down there. And I'm always looking around to see what animals are about. You never know when you're going to go around a corner and see a mountain lion out here, So you got to keep your eyes peeled. You pretty much have to have a pistol on you at all times. You don't know what you're going to encounter. And I've got 2 dogs, and I don't ever want them to get tangled up with a mountain lion or something. So I've always got my eyes peeled, and I just happened to be looking down towards my fence line, and I seen a creature running through the woods, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. As I stated at the beginning, I've hiked everywhere from Alaska to Hawaii. I've encountered every kind of animal you can possibly think of: bears, buffalo, deer, elk, a mama moose with her calf. I've encountered all of it, and usually on a hiking path with no pistols. So I've seen just about everything there is to see, and I never have seen whatever this was. I had never seen anything like it before in my life, and it just immediately, I'm still shaking just talking about it. It immediately added up in my head. Whatever I was hearing in the basement was whatever this was running away. The two just kind of added up real quick in my head, and I didn't get a chance to see it for all that long. I seen it from a sideways view running through the woods towards a creek on my fence line, heading south. And it was running on all fours. It was either black or just a really dark gray. And the thing that threw me was it looked skinny, and anything that runs on all fours has got like a distended belly that hangs down. And this was skinny, and it was big, man. I seen this thing all the way from my house all the way to the property line. This thing had to have been 7 or 8 foot tall, and it looked like it normally stood on 2 feet, but it was running on all fours. And it was moving, and the ground it was covering was just, I would not want to have been anywhere near this thing when it was running towards you, or if it was ever running towards you. This thing, it could catch you. I don't care who you are, it just, this thing could catch you quick. And that was it. That was all I'd seen of it. Now, the thing that threw me, I'd never seen anything like it before, so I immediately came in, and I emailed a friend of mine that I'd heard on your show that had encountered some things, and that opened my eyes to the possibility that there's a lot more things out there than I'd ever thought of listening to your show. And so I emailed her with the story, and she said, that sounds like a dog man. And I was like, I'd never heard of a dog man before. So I went and dumped it in Google, and I brought up a web page, and the first thing that came up, there's 2 pictures of a dog man, and one was called a canine dog man, and then there was another one right next to it of this big built dog man, really muscular looking thing. And I was like, no, it's the first one, that skinny looking crazy killer thing. That's what it looked like. That's exactly what it looked like. And she gave me some warnings, and I went back out before bedtime last night, and I've usually got 20 or 30 deer out in front of the house. I've usually got about 20 or 30 deer out around the back of the house, and I've got this huge flock of turkeys that sits down at the creek every night, and they just chat and chat and chat until dark, and then they get up in the trees and flock for the night. the thing was, I guess I'm going backwards. When I first seen this thing running through the woods, the woods went silent, and at that time there was all kinds of birds singing back and forth, and for the woods to be silent around me is just odd. I mean, you never hear that. It's always some kind of animal making a noise out here. So that was really odd. It struck me as odd when all the birds stopped singing. And then last night, after I got the warning from her, I didn't see any deer out. There was no deer at bedtime, and no deer out front, no deer out back, no birds singing. The turkeys weren't squawking at the creek, and that struck me as odd. That's definitely something around that has everything just hidden whole. I mean, spooked bad. And I was spooked. I'm still spooked. I'm shaking. I'm so spooked. My world's been turned upside down. I'm still spooked. But that's that story, Brad.
Okay, so this is still ongoing.
Yeah.
So
today,
this has only been like the last couple nights.
This is just the last 24 hours, Brad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really you're still there, right?
Yeah. I can't leave. I don't have anywhere else to go. This is my home. Yeah.
Right. And are you like in your house now?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you had any sounds in your basement tonight?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a
Okay.
thing since.
That might have been a fluke that it got in your basement. I don't know.
Well, see, that's what I was telling Kim. I don't. First of all, I don't know how anything got down there. I don't. If this thing, I don't know anything about dogmen. This is all really new to me, Brent. I don't know what kind of creatures these are. I don't know if they're, spiritual that can manifest physical. I don't know anything about this stuff. So I honest to God, don't know anything about this. And the thing that's really scaring the tar out of me is I don't know how whatever got in my basement. If that makes any sense. There's a couple ways you can get in, but I don't know how this, whatever it is, got in the basement. It may have just been a fluke that I seen, whatever I seen, and, maybe there was just a quadruped in the basement. I can't say for sure what was what, and I'm not going to sit here and speculate. I'm just giving you the last 24 hours as it sits,
Right. Wow. So when you got to you got to actually see it, you thought you saw like the skinny type dog man that has kind of like the muscular build that's more like the the basketball player muscular type build.
Well, there was, we were talking before we started the record. There's two pictures on that website we were talking about. There's one on the left, one on the right, and the one on the right was this big built thing, and the one on the left was skinnier. It's the skinnier one, the killer looking one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of and you're talking about Vic Condo's site, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first page I pulled up when I.
Now he has one picture of the thing where it's got the moon behind it, and it's got the knuckles like hanging down real low and stuff like that. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, it's the one on the left where he's hunched over, not the one where he's standing up facing you.
Right. Okay. And it's a very massive looking creature. Is that the one?
7-8 foot, man.
Right. Yeah. And barely like a neck and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, that's incredible. That's a very scary kind of creature. And I've made paintings of these things several times, and sometimes they're skinnier. I'll make them like skinnier looking and things like that. But every once in a while, people will make these paintings kind of more Squatch like. They're really muscular looking, but kind of thin.
Look muscular. Oh, I mean, and I could be wrong. It didn't last for very long. I didn't get a chance to sit and study this thing. It was moving, but from what I saw, Brent, it was pretty skinny looking, and that's the thing that really got me. Is most animals that run on all fours got a belly that hangs down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
This didn't have have that. It was skinny, and that's the thing that really got me. And it was moving funny when it was running on all fours. The way its arms moved, it looked like it didn't normally walk on all fours.
Yeah, kind of a hobble, yeah. I got you. Now the head. When it comes to the head, and the snout and stuff like that, when it comes to the dog face or the dog head, was it more of a Doberman Pinscher type look or a?
That's another weird thing, Brent. The head didn't look like it fit on this animal at all. The head was smaller than the body, and that was odd to me. You know, it had
Right.
it looked like its ears were folded back, but like my German Shepherd ears, like pointy ears, but they were folded back.
Right.
And it had a snout, but the head looked smaller than the body, like it didn't blow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does. Huh. When it comes to the snout and stuff like that, did the snout look more Doberman-like or more wolf-like, or can you kind of give it a comparison to like what type
Like
of
my German Shepherd snout.
German Shepherd? Okay, yeah, you hear that quite a bit, huh? Wow, man, that's and to think about these things being real.
Man,
That is just shocking, isn't it?
Well, I'd never heard of a dog man before, Brent. I'd never even heard those two words put together. When she said
Right.
that to me, I was
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? And to think something like that is real, that just, if somebody would have told me about that 72 hours ago, I would have laughed. I would have said, okay, and
Right.
I
But
probably
now
would've
that you
believed-
know it's real, that's disturbing, isn't it?
This is a scary world we're living in, Brent. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I felt like I should talk about this. People need to know this is real. This is
Right.
absolutely real.
Oh yeah, I know. It's absurd. I've not personally seen a dog man. I've seen a Bigfoot before, and that was scary enough. But I cannot imagine seeing a dog man. That to me is just unbelievable.
Well, the way the forest quieted down around me too. I mean, it's like everything knew it was in the area, And
Right.
that's another thing. This place is never quiet. There's always some animals making noise here. Raccoons, the owls, the birds, the turkeys, the eagle. I got an eagle that's got a brand new baby this year. And they're always hawking and flocking. Always something. And for the forest to be quiet for any length of time, is just odd.
Sometimes it does that over the Bigfoot encounters. Things go quiet. But the Dogman case is it's almost always something like that. More so than Bigfoot. It's almost every single time there's something
Almost
very,
like
very.
everything around me knew there was a super predator here, and
Yes,
that's what
yeah.
This thing looked like a super predator to me, Brent. That's what it looked
Right.
like.
Yeah. And did it look like it was on the hunt?
It looked like it was fleeing, if that makes any sense. Like it was hauling butt. I mean, just I don't know. Maybe it was chasing something. Maybe it was running away. I couldn't tell you for
Well,
sure.
maybe it was fleeing.
I was happy it was moving away from me. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That's all
For
I
real.
know. I'm glad it was going the other way.
Do you think it's still around?
No, and the reason I think that is because all the deer were back out today. And
Oh, cool.
whatever this is, it's moved on, I think. At least I hope so,
Oh, my
man.
goodness, that's
I
good.
hope I never run into this again.
Wow. That's amazing, man. So what color was it?
It's either black or a really dark gray. And that's the other thing. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I seen this. So
Yeah. No,
Apparently,
when it comes to
no-
the eyes, what did you see when it comes to the eyes? Did you see any glowing or?
I didn't even see the eyes, man. I
Didn't?
seen it from a side view. So I caught what he looked like from the side, not
Right.
from the front. And he didn't turn him up this way at all. So
Did you get to see any teeth or anything like that, or claw? What about the hands and the arms and stuff like that? Can you give a description on that?
they would have easily hung down to his legs, his middle of his legs or something like that. But like I said, he was running on all fours, and it looked odd, like he would normally walk on 2 feet. That was one of the things I kept telling Kim, is it didn't look like it should be running on all fours.
Right. Yeah. And the fingers and stuff like that. Did you get a good, kind of a look at the fingers?
No, it happened too quick to see it.
Okay, now the legs and the feet, or did it have the backward type hawk legs and like a dog leg?
No, it looked like a regular dog leg, but except for they were big. His back legs looked way bigger than his front legs. I mean, like thick old big legs. Meaty legs, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And did you get to look at his feet? His back feet?
No, he was too far away to see that.
Really? And when it ran, okay, so it's running on all fours. Did it have like a real smooth run, or did it have kind of a loping?
Well, that's like I said, it didn't look like it normally ran on all fours. The way it moved, I've never seen an animal run like that. The way it was, its front arms went out first and pulled, and then its back legs came up. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so it was kind of running in a almost a gallop kind of motion.
Yeah, the 2 legs in front touched the ground, and then when they were fully in back of them, then the front legs were up in front, and it looked like only 2 legs would be touching the ground at any one time.
Okay, I got you. So it was using the strength of the arms and the strength of the legs.
Yeah.
And direct proportion to each other. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. And
like it was using its front arms to pull it along faster, and its stride was enormous, man. I've never seen anything with a stride like that.
So when it was in your basement, you said it was scratching at the ceiling?
It was scratching at the only place that he could have been scratching that leads to the living room. That's the thing that spooked me, is this one windowsill that overlooks the basement stairs. That's all covered up with wood now.
Okay, so did it? So do you think that it seemed to know that you were in that area?
Yes, it's like it detected me and the dogs on the other side of that, and I don't know how that would have been possible. We were heading to bed. It was quiet.
Okay. All right, yeah, because that's the case a lot of times, is it will detect where you're at, and it will torment you from the outside.
Yes, it came in below the bed all night and was beating on the floor, my floor, which would have been the ceiling. And that's the other thing I was trying to tell you. There's nothing down there for anything to stand on. It's 10 foot from the floor to the ceiling there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 10 foot tall, or it's 8 foot tall or so, and then when it lifts its arms, it's definitely can reach 10 foot tall.
I just speaking of things, man, I cannot believe that's what was down there. I don't even want to think about it. I really don't. It's got me scared to all hell.
Do you feel like it was trying to eat? Do you think it was trying to feed on your fear?
I don't know, but it seemed like the more scared I got, the worse the noise got, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That seems to be the deal. It is almost as if they are knowing where you're at, they target you, they try to make you scared, and then they feed off of your fear, and it escalates the situation.
Yes, and it did. It escalated big time. That's the noise.
Goodness.
Got worse and worse and worse.
Wow. So
that's the thing. When you normally, any normal little forest quadruped, you go, and if it's bumping on the floor, if it's scratching or whatever, you go and you hit or you kick on the floor or whatever, it would flee in terror,
Right.
When I kicked on the floor, this thing was kicking back and bumping back and hitting back, and I was scratching my head because I didn't know what was down there, and I was like, what in the world? It's not even scared of me,
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So you would hit on the floor and it would hit back, saying, quit hitting back at me.
Harder and louder. Yeah.
Right. Wow. My goodness. So you were obviously scared.
Well, as the night got on, see, I wasn't at first because you just think it's a raccoon or something, or something
Right.
on there. But as those encounters kept escalating, and it was beating on the floor below the bed, and then going back to the scratch, and it just, as the night grew on, I got more and more afraid.
Right. Because it seemed to be reacting to what you were doing.
Right.
Right.
And it shouldn't have been. It
Right.
shouldn't have been. Whatever was
Yeah.
down there shouldn't have been reacting to me at all. It should have been fleeing
Yeah.
in terror.
So from what you know and what you've seen with what Kim showed you and stuff like that, and the pictures you saw and what have you, are you pretty sure what you had going on there was a dog man?
Yeah, I'm so certain of it. I called my neighbors, and I wouldn't tell them what I saw, but I told them to stay in the house and keep your pistol on you at all times for the next few days. That's how
Right.
sure I am.
Right. Wow. That's very, very scary for sure. Man, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem.
That's a messed up deal, man. It's a very scary situation.
I've seen some crazy spiritual things in the last year since I was born again, and I've got an online ministry, and they seem to kind of attack the more you do, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well,
I learned
what was the craziest? What's the craziest thing you saw?
that last night.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. Besides last night, though, you know what I'm saying.
Well, probably about 6 months ago, I was outside and I felt see, I don't go out in the middle of the night anymore. I used to take my dogs out when we got up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and I won't do it anymore because of what I saw 6 months ago. I was outside with the dogs, and I felt a pure evil presence, and that's the only way I could describe it. And this is on the shoulders of dealing with some shadow things in the house.
Right.
Like shadow creature.
Right. Yeah. Shadow.
Demon.
Yeah. I got you.
It's something that sits like right outside the peripheral vision. You can see it moving around, shadowy kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I dealt with that until I learned how to rebuke it in the Lord's name, and figured out that made whatever that was go away. And then it wasn't long after that things kind of started seeming to escalate, and then I learned how to rebuke things. And there was even a smell in the house, Brett, which was weird. When that shadow thing was going on, I had a lady that comes over and helps me get my groceries because I'm disabled. And she noticed I'm a really clean person. I don't ever leave the house. I'm very clean. Just don't have much else to do anyway. So she noticed there was a foul odor here, and I said I noticed that too. And I didn't want to spook her, so I didn't let her know what was going on at the time. But that was when those shadow things were here. I hadn't learned how to rebuke them yet. And it seemed like as it was escalating that maybe there was more of them, or the presence got worse. I'm not sure which, but got to the point where there was the foulness in the air, and she noticed it. And when she had left, I went online and started hunting until I could figure out how to rebuke it, and then I did that, and I haven't had the shadow things in here since. Now, it wasn't long after that I was outside with the dogs, and I felt that evil presence outside, and I went through and was rebuking, and commanding whatever it was to leave in the Lord's name. And just as I did that, a white, the only thing I found online that even relates to it is these little fairy-looking things on L.A. Marzulli's webpage. He's done a video, a Watchman's video, of these little fairy things, these white demon fairy things.
Right.
And that's exactly what it looked like. And it was 30 feet up in the air, fleeing away after I rebuked it in the Lord's name. And ever since that night when I seen that thing, we don't go out in the middle of the night anymore.
Yeah.
And then they kind of quieted down around here until this dog man thing.
Yeah, I mean, the type of ministry that you're talking about, man, is very dangerous, dude. I mean, you really have to be strong in the Lord, and you have to know what you're talking about and know what you're doing. Or you're really putting yourself in a bad situation because they can hurt you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known people get hurt.
I was only born again a year, so this is all really new to me. And if you would have told me beyond a year ago that this stuff even existed, I would have laughed. I didn't believe it, but I do now, man. I do.
Yeah, and I had a Baptist preacher a long time ago tell me that said, "Look, the only thing that protects you is the blood."
Yep.
Now,
I agree.
It doesn't take a bunch of praying. It doesn't take a bunch of, trying to be strong and all this kind of stuff. It's the blood. You plead the blood, and in the blood of Jesus, there's nothing that can cross that line, man. It's His power. There's power in the blood. You know what I'm saying? So
believe in the blood of the Lamb or the blood of the Lord, and it pleases.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and so depend on His power, not yours. Okay.
It has nothing to do with us.
Yes, that's the best advice I can give. Is the less power you think you got, the more power He has. And then you're going to be better off for it. So be safe, my friend. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
God bless you. You got my number and stuff, man. If you need my help or something, sometimes you get yourself in a pinch, give me a call. Is that cool?
I got my eyes peeled, man. All
right.
Look to so.
All right. Well, God bless you, brother. And everybody out there in YouTube land, I hope you enjoyed that. That's some fascinating stuff there. All kinds of crazy stuff going on in this world, and you never know what you're going to run into and what's going to happen. So you got to be prepared. You got to be strong in the Lord. You got to plead the blood of Jesus on things and depend on His holiness, His power, His blood. It's nothing to do with us. All we can do is have faith in Him and believe in Him. So I encourage everyone to do that. And if anyone out there wants to share a story, you can contact me at brentonson@gmail.com. And I really do need some help this month. If you can contribute this month, you can go to PayPal Me. I'll leave that link in the description. It's really easy to use. You click it one time and it takes you right there, and it's like one step to make a contribution. And I appreciate everyone who does that. And until next time, God bless you, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.